So, Zach Wilson kinda sucks. This NFL season, the New York Jets have been one of the more pleasant surprises in the NFL. In year 2 of the Robert Saleh era, the New York Jets are sitting at 6-4 entering week 12, and they boast the 7th ranked defense in the NFL. Despite the strong start to their season, the Jets have one thing that may get in the way of them snapping the longest playoff drought in the NFL. That is their offense, and in particular, their quarterback, Zach Wilson. Following the utter failure that was the Sam Darnold and Adam Gase experiment in New York, new GM Joe Douglas decided to put his stamp on the organization. Douglas went out and hired a new head coach in former San Francisco 49ers defensive coordinator Robert Saleh, and drafted a new quarterback number 2 overall in Zach Wilson out of BYU. Wilson ascended up draft boards in his final collegiate season, where he threw for 3,700 yards along with 33 touchdowns to just 3 interceptions. Eventually, Wilson was the consensus second best available quarterback in the 2021 draft, behind only Trevor Lawrence out of Clemson. Lawrence ended up going first overall to the Jaguars, which left Wilson right in the laps of the New York Jets, who had the number 2 pick. There were certainly some growing pains in Wilson's rookie season. The Jets went 4-13, and Wilson missed 4 games due to a knee injury. In the games that he did play, Wilson completed just 56% of his passes for 2,300 yards, 9 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions, though he did have an additional 4 touchdowns on the ground. Entering this year, the hope was that Wilson could take the next step forward in his development. So far, that hasn't happened. Wilson suffered a knee injury in the preseason and was sidelined for the first 3 weeks of the 2022 season, thrusting Joe Flacco into the starting lineup for the Jets. The Jets went 1-2, and Wilson returned for their Week 4 matchup against the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Jets actually went on a 4-game winning streak upon Wilson's return, but if we're being honest, this was in spite of Wilson, not because of him. In those 4 games, Wilson never threw for more than 252 yards and had just 1 touchdown to 2 interceptions, all of which came in the Pittsburgh game. In victories over the Miami Dolphins with Skylar Thompson at quarterback for most of the game, the Green Bay Packers, and the Denver Broncos, Wilson was fine, I guess. In those 3 games, Wilson completed 61% of his passes for 441 yards, no touchdowns, and no interceptions. He still routinely put the ball in harm's way, but the defense and the run game for the Jets, improved by their strong rookie class, helped carry Wilson. The Jets' 2022 rookie class has been nothing short of phenomenal. The Jets had 4 picks in the top 36 of the 2022 draft, and they were able to select 4 players who have made big impacts as rookies. At number 4 overall, the Jets selected cornerback Sauce Gardner out of Cincinnati. Gardner has been a revelation at corner for the Jets and has formed a lethal duo with free agent signee DJ Reed. Gardner is Pro Football Focus's top-graded corner this season, boasting an 85.9 overall grade. The Jets were also in possession of the number 10 overall pick thanks to the Jamal Adams trade with the Seattle Seahawks. With that pick, the Jets took wide receiver Garrett Wilson out of Ohio State. Wilson had a breakout junior season with the Buckeyes, hauling in 70 catches for 1,058 yards and 12 touchdowns. Wilson is on pace for a very strong rookie campaign. In 10 games, he has caught 44 passes for 533 yards and 2 touchdowns. The Jets weren't done though. They traded up with the Tennessee Titans to get back into the first round to select edge rusher Jermaine Johnson out of Florida State, 26th overall. Although Johnson has been the least productive of the Jets' top rookies, mostly due to injury, he has still made an impact, recording 15 total tackles and 2.5 sacks in 6 games. Even beyond the first round, the Jets were able to find incredible value. In fact, possibly the best player from the Jets rookie class was drafted in the 2nd round. At 36th overall, the New York Jets selected running back Breece Hall out of Iowa State. Through the first 7 games, Hall was on his way to a potential Offensive Rookie of the Year award. In those games, Hall rushed 80 times for 463 yards and 4 touchdowns. He averaged a whopping 5.8 yards per carry and picked up an additional touchdown through the air. Hall basically was the Jets' offense in the early half of 2022. In Week 7 against the Denver Broncos, Hall came out the gates early with a 62-yard first-quarter touchdown run. Unfortunately, later in the game, Hall tore his ACL and meniscus, which ended his stellar rookie season. Despite having second-year man Michael Carter on the roster and trading for James Robinson from the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Jets' run game has not been the same without Brees. Without an elite run game, the following week against the New England Patriots, Zach Wilson got exposed. Now, it's no secret that the Patriots have dominated the Jets for the past 2 decades. Entering this game, the Pats had a 12-game winning streak against the Jets dating back to 2016. Bill Belichick has always feasted on Jets quarterbacks over the years. From Mark Sanchez to Sam Darnold to Zach Wilson, Bill has always found a way to bring the worst out of Jets quarterbacks. As expected, Wilson was atrocious in that game. Although he did throw for 355 yards and 2 touchdowns, he completed less than 50% of his passes and threw 3 ugly interceptions. Wilson did have somewhat of a bounce-back game the following week in a 20-17 upset over the Buffalo Bills. He completed a season-high 72% of his passes for 154 yards and a touchdown. Although most of his passes were short, dinky throws, he kept the ball out of harm's way, and easily it was his most efficient game of the season. In Week 11, coming off a bye week, the Jets traveled to Foxborough for a revenge match against the Patriots. In that game, the Jets' defense was phenomenal, holding the Patriots' offense to just 3 points. The problem was Zach Wilson and the Jets' offense could only muster 3 points of their own, in a performance that Robert Saleh deemed dog shit. The Jets' run game was non-existent, and Zach Wilson played like absolute shit. He went just 9 for 22 passing for 77 yards, no touchdowns, no picks, although he probably should have had 2, but the Patriots defenders couldn't haul him in. Following the game, reports surfaced that the locker room was frustrated with Wilson's lack of accountability, and in his post-game press conference, when asked if he felt that he let the defense down, Wilson responded with this.
As an offense, though, I mean, when you guys are only able to score 3 points, the defense only lets up 3 points. I mean, do you feel like you let the defense down at all?
No.
Wilson's immaturity here really has rubbed some of his teammates the wrong way. After the game, Jets defensive end John Franklin Myers liked a tweet that compared Josh Allen's response after they lost to the Jets to Zach Wilson's response after the New England game. Robert Saleh can clearly sense the frustration coming from the Jets locker room, and in his Monday afternoon press conference, he did not commit to Wilson as his starting quarterback moving forward.
Robert, can you start off by just stating what your quarterback plans are for this week and explain why?
Just been dealing with so many different things right now. I'm going to get to the tape and just evaluate everything, and I'll leave it at that. We're keeping everything on the table over the next couple of days.
So you're not committing to Zach as your starter for Sunday?
Not right now, not until I'm done evaluating everything.
From the way Saleh is talking there, it really sounds like the Jets are entertaining benching Zach Wilson. The question now becomes, if Wilson does get benched, who will replace him? The Jets already went through the Joe Flacco experiment earlier in the season and were not impressed with what they saw. When Wilson returned from his injury, Flacco was demoted to third-string quarterback and Mike White was elevated to the backup role. White played in 4 games for the Jets in place of an injured Wilson and did have a couple of nice moments, including a victory over the AFC champion Cincinnati Bengals, but he only threw for 5 touchdowns to 8 interceptions in those games. The Jets do like Mike White, and since Flacco was demoted, odds are good that if they do bench Zach Wilson, Mike White will take over as the starter. It seems that the Jets believe that one of those guys gives them a better chance to win than Zach Wilson. If that is the case, then Wilson will become the Jets' 3rd first-round quarterback bust in the past decade. First, it was Mark Sanchez, Then it was Sam Darnold, and you could even throw Geno Smith, who was a 2013 third-round pick, in there as well. Now, Zach Wilson is in danger of joining them. You could argue that the best quarterback for the Jets in the past decade was Ryan Fitzpatrick. The Jets have a strong chance of finally snapping their 12-year playoff drought, but unless they can get better quarterback play, it isn't going to happen, no matter how good your coaching or your defense are. Now staring down their fourth quarterback bust in recent memory, the New York Jets have officially become quarterback hell.